Oof. So here we go. We're started off. Hey everyone, welcome to the stream. Just looking at the chat here. As you can see, I'm in a new location. There might be a little reverb. I'm sorry. Need to put sound treatment on the walls and stuff, but again, just moved, so need to sort that out. In the meantime, so got a few topics I'm interested in discussing today. Perhaps I can allude to some videos I'm working on for this week. I released a ton of. Okay, sure. Hopefully that's better. So hopefully the gain is better now. I released a ton of videos this week, so hopefully folks enjoyed them. It's kind of something I'm trying to do because obviously I want to get to the to the big milestone that is coming, and so I'm very excited about that. This week you can expect a video on what can you expect a video on? Gondolas. There will be a video on Japan. There will be a video on Australia, Eastern Australia, and there will be a video on what will it? The video will be on Hong Kong. So hopefully that's going to be a fun one as well. It's going to be a new series, actually, the Hong Kong video, and so hopefully that goes well. The French high-speed rail video was pretty well received, so I'm happy about that. Yeah, it's all very exciting stuff. Trying to think. I just hit the desk. I'm trying to think about. Well, I want to go look at transit projects, but because of the whole situation in Ontario right now, that's probably not likely to happen anytime soon. So let me take a look at the chat here. Someone's having a bad day, Dr. DeWatt. I hope your day gets better. HFR announcement is something I'm hoping for too. It would be great, honestly. It's so funny. I talk about in my video why I don't like HFR, and I think it has a lot of problems, and because of that, people think I don't want it to be built, which is, it's kind of, it's one of those cases where just because I say I don't like something doesn't mean I don't support it. I mean, I don't like lots of things. I don't like salads. I still eat salads. So yeah, just because I don't like something or I make a video saying I don't like something doesn't mean I don't support it, right? I just think that things could be better. Let me go over to here. I'm just monitoring the chat. Yes, no more agent court, sadly. How do you think the UTA system would hold up in the new transit battle? I guess if you're referring to it versus Toronto or Melbourne, I don't think those aren't really comparable systems. People seem to take issue with the fact that I included Toronto's light rail lines in the competition with Melbourne, and I don't really agree. I think that they're totally reasonable to include. UTA, on the other hand, it's seriously different, and the whole thing is quite different. Well, much of it is quite different. Someone saying they love the regional connector video. Thank you very much. It didn't get that many views, so that's a little disappointing. If you didn't go watch the regional connector video, please go watch it. I think it's a pretty good video. Demystified has certainly tapered off, and I'm sad about that because like the Chuo Shinkansen video didn't get that many views, and I think that that's such an important project. I think it might be because people don't know what it is, but I think it's important. I'll keep working through my way through the chat, but I think I mainly have one news item I want to talk about this week. I do want to say, if you're not already, consider supporting the channel on Patreon for early access to videos and for blog posts and private chats we do every month, and also please go follow me on Twitter and Instagram, because right now I think I have like less than 10% of my YouTube subscribers following me over there. So let's get those numbers up. Maybe I should do something special when I reach 2,000 Twitter followers, and something special when I reach 1,000 Instagram followers. Anyways, I'm going to get back to the chat, and I'll go through a few more messages, and then I'm going to talk about my main news item for the day. So hopefully that works. I can put the mic a bit closer. Hopefully that helps. Hoping you can come to Ottawa sometime in the future when the pandemic is gone to report on all the progress. I definitely want to. Yeah, it's just the kind of thing I can't do right now, which is sad. Do you think the diesel commuter railways of the U.S., like Metra or LA Metrolink, could become like S-Bahn systems? Definitely, but I don't know. In every case, I think some situations a REM-style system would be better. What do you think about Hyperloop? It's not a real thing. That's all I'm going to say. Why isn't the Shepherd subway extended either? But that actually, let me rephrase that. It is painful to see people have such a. It's funny, on Elon Musk, people have very unsophisticated views, I think. Like, the view is either bad or good. I do think Tesla is actually quite important, which is probably controversial in the transit space, but there's going to be a lot of cars in the future. Electrifying them is important. Anyways, why isn't the Shepherd subway extended east or west? It's a much better option than another LRT. It's expensive, and subways are not cool in Toronto. Well, they weren't cool. They're still not cool for actual local politicians. They're only cool for provincial level politicians, unless you're in Scarborough. Shepherd would run to Scarborough, so it'll probably get support after the Scarborough subway is built. But yeah, it's a weird situation. Look into Quebec's tramway project. It has really low chances of being done like it's planned. I've been following the project for a long time. I follow every major Canadian transit project closely. I watch the news. I that's why I'm familiar, I think, quite familiar with every Canadian rail transit system and proposal. So yeah, just looking through here. Via Rail doesn't. Via Rail can be more affordable, and I don't think that would be a bad thing. But I don't think that that's the most important issue with Via Rail. I think the issue is the service level and the speed of service being not great. Yeah, I agree. Just because something's faulty doesn't mean we should cancel it, and I don't think I ever have suggested something like that. But I think that it could definitely be improved. Thoughts on the Las Vegas Loop? It's a people mover, right? It's just a different people mover, and it has a people mover level of capacity. Which tram system is better than Toronto? Most tram systems. Paris tram system, Amsterdam's tram system, I would say. A Rail Baltica video. Yeah, maybe in the future. Is BRT worth it? And is it a good precursor to an LRT? No, I think like if you just do BRT and then do a light metro or a full metro after that. I think for the Dundas BRT, maybe. I don't think it's the most amazing project in the world, but since it's such a long corridor and there'll be a lot of on and off bus routes, I think that is one place where BRT might make sense. But again, like service frequencies need to be focused, right? Let's see. Will Flair make Canadian aviation cheaper in general? One would hope, but I'm not really sure. We'll really have to see what happens. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Matthew. I appreciate that a ton. Let me go over here. Just trying to make sure I'm hitting all these. No, exactly. Tesla is important, but it doesn't need us to support it. I agree that it doesn't need us to support it, but I do find it a little amusing that people still lose their minds when Teslas catch fire. And it's like, yes, if a car gets in a crash, it often catches fire, just like any other car. When you store a lot of energy in any space, right? Like this is no different for um, uh, any kind of vehicle that has onboard energy storage. When that vehicle gets seriously damaged, it can cause a fire because you have a lot of energy being stored and it's reactive, right? This is basic physics. Um, but yeah, we don't need to support it, but I do think like dishonesty, active dishonesty, isn't helpful. And like, yeah, cars are bad on the whole, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to reduce the harm they cause because, like, despite what a lot of people seem to think, it will be a long time before we can eradicate cars from existence, right? And some people will always need them. And so making them better is important, right? Like, it would be great if all, like, we have to do farming and all these things, and there's a lot of vehicles required. And, you know, you do have trucks that need to ship people's, you know, orders and that need to ship materials around, and all these things need to be electrified, and batteries will be probably critical to a lot of it. And so investments in battery technology are really important. um, Let me continue. um, I do agree, yeah, they probably did push us 5 to 10 years forward. Do you think San Francisco Muni should buy low floor light rail trains for the surface only lines? Yes, that's actually a very good idea. I also think they could buy them for all lines and then just fix the tunnel, raise the platforms, raise the track beds so that you could use them on all lines. That would be a serious improvement. I would support, definitely. RTC has plans to add bi-articulated buses and bus-only lanes, and people said that was going to take too much space from the car. I actually don't know if that's necessarily the case. Getting bi-articulated buses in the US or Canada has always been a struggle, and I think that in a place where there's a lot of snow, like Quebec City, may not be the best solution. I think the Shepherd subway should go to Pickering eventually, in like 200 years maybe. Let's go down. Yeah, it's a bit far. Like, a subway is good when you're doing a trip of a certain length, right? So the only way it makes sense for a subway to be extended to Pickering, right, is if it's reasonable for that many people from Pickering to be traveling a typical subway level journey. So you need to have a subway level demand between Pickering and like Scarborough, right, which just doesn't exist. So that's the only time the really long subway lines, I think, really start to make sense. You're not going to have people riding a subway from Pickering to, I don't know, to like the Young Line, right? They would just take Go. So that's kind of my take on that. Let's continue along here. The thing is that VIA has to yield to freight trains. Yeah, sure, but we can fix a lot of those issues. We can add more track, etc. Would high floor BRT ever be worth building in the US or Canada? I really doubt it. VIA is cheaper than Greyhound. VIA's pricing is far from the worst thing about it. I 100% agree. What about the MTR in Hong Kong? As I said at the beginning of this video, I am doing a video on Hong Kong, so it should be interesting. Do you have any thoughts on Portland's Max Light Rail and their potential downtown subway tunnel? I think you should watch my regional connector video. I talked about it. What software do you use to create your maps, and what editing software do you use to create your videos? Oh my goodness, that's a lot of messages. So I edit my maps in GIMP at the moment, but I've also used I'm transitioning to Mac, and I'm actually forgetting what the name of my editing software is on Mac. Abbott? No, I forget the name of the. It's from Serif. I forget the name of the editing software, but I have photo editing software it's really good. It's like $50 and it's pretty fully featured. So I have that on Mac. GIMP is fine. Like, I've used GIMP for 15 plus years, right? Like, it's really good, but it has its bugs and it has its limitations. So yeah. Do you have a favorite Chinese subway system? Not really. I honestly I don't find Chinese subway systems too interesting. If I had to have a favorite, it would probably be Chongqing, right? With the monorail. I think that's kind of cool. Do you think the Eglinton Crosstown should eventually get upgraded to light metro? I don't think it's really feasible. Opinions on RET in Rotterdam. I don't have a ton of opinions, but Rotterdam is cool, and the whole Randstad area is really interesting. Have you heard of the Macau LRT? See, this is the LRT for the millionth time being a bad term. Yeah, it's called the LRT. I believe it's called the Ocean Liner. It's the same as the Eureka Mome line in Tokyo. So it's a crystal mover. It's a crystal mover line, and it's kind of an APM that's used as a metro. It's nice. Yeah. Do you think reopening the Rockaway line will be good? Yeah, probably. Can the suburbs be served by bus only? I don't think light rail is needed in suburbs. I think that's not a place where light rail makes a ton of sense, at least not North American suburbs. Should they expand the electrification of Sydney trains farther out to Canberra, Dubbo, and farther up the coast? Yeah, I agree. I think so. I would love to see high-speed rail between Melbourne and Sydney. I know that's kind of a hot topic for the past few decades. Melbourne Metro or Sydney trains? Sydney trains for sure. Sorry, Melbourne folks. The problem is that Teslas sometimes spontaneously combust. Most of the times I've ever seen an issue with Teslas being on fire is they've gotten in an accident. But again, same thing happens with gas cars. At least it's not a Ford Pinto. I agree. I think they should spend more money improving the GO train instead of building the 413. Yeah, I agree that they should spend more money improving the GO train. I really think that we should just fix the 407, which doesn't get that much traffic. What do you think of the guided trolleybus lines in Paris? They're cool. Yeah. Statistically, fossil-fueled power cars catch fire more often per mile than electrics. Yeah. Don't worry about SpaceX Starship ballistic commuter flights. People who field aerospace stuff have already pointed out how silly it is. Okay, I don't think it's something I've ever really talked about. Yep, Alfie has nailed this. Go is getting electrified anywhere the freight rails aren't getting in the way. Solid state batteries are promising. Yep. Well, thank you for the compliment about being the hardest G. That's an interesting compliment. Are you planning to do an S-Bahn RER style train service comparison? Yeah, that's something I think I'll do in the long term. It's not something I'm planning in the short term. Everyone should understand that I have usually like a month worth of videos pre-planned, and so when I get an idea, it usually doesn't get made that fast. Sometimes, I don't know, someone makes a really good suggestion and I do end up making it quickly, but usually not. Whew. Okay, once I get to the bottom of the chat, then I'll go to my news item. The feds haven't really talked about HFR, but they have funded like studies and the like. Would a trip from Pickering to North York Center be faster with Go than on a direct subway line? Probably not. Actually, you know, it might not be that far off. But for Pickering to North York Center, there's a bus, and the bus is not anywhere close to capacity. So I'd say just run more buses, give them dedicated lanes. And they'll go pretty fast as well. Hydrogen fuel cell electric rail, practical? Again, I think I've talked about hydrogen fuel cells. Basically, they're practical if you have a massive electrical energy surplus. Pickering commuter line, yes. Metro, no, yes. But if TTC fares were valid on Go within Toronto city limits, Toronto would immediately have several relief lines because TTC is cheaper to ride and everyone would ride it. Yeah, maybe. Oh yeah, sorry, Affinity Photo. Someone actually mentioned, yes, that is what I use. Final Cut Pro, I have Final Cut, and maybe I'll transition to it, but I like DaVinci Resolve. I don't really have a huge reason to switch. Also, I like Apple stuff. I've actually switched to an iPhone. I switched to a Mac. I'm on a PC right now, but because it's an M1 Mac and RIP, some of my software isn't optimized yet. But there's things I like about Apple, the hardware in particular. The software I'm not actually that big of a fan of a lot of the time. But yeah, I have feelings about Apple. I've been on and off Apple for the past year. When I was back in Vancouver, I actually had a MacBook Pro for a month, and then I had issues with it and returned it. I'm going to try again when the M1 MacBook Pro comes out, so hopefully that can be better. But yeah, like Apple products have their ups and their downs. Can an existing double-track metro line be retrofitted for express services 3 or 4 track after it's all been completed? I'm going to be talking about something along these lines in Wednesday's video. Stay tuned for that. I'm going to basically bring something up and say, do you want me to make a video about it? So yeah, stay tuned, and there might be something that you'll find interesting. Why do we have Greyhound and Megabus in the States? I'm not sure exactly what you're asking. It's truly sad how slow the fare integration is moving. Willing to bet people still pay a double fare when transferring from the subway to the RER. Part of the problem is not just the double fare. It's the double fare plus the kind of crappy service, right? I think if RER was really good, people would probably pay a double fare. It's still cheaper than driving by a pretty wide margin. So the double fare thing, I kind of think people complain about it a lot, but I think for a large contingent of the population, it's not actually a big deal. It's just that, do I really want to pay that much money and get on a really infrequent service or have to wait a long time, right? Have you ever taken My Way or talked about My Way? Yeah, I've definitely talked about My Way. Just go on my channel, search Mississauga and My Way, and you'll see videos about it. I haven't talked a ton about My Way because it's not that amazing of a system, but I have talked about it. Ooh, so many messages. Okay, you know what? I'm going to go to my news item, and then I'll try to work my way through some more of these messages. So the news item of the day, it's not that big, but it was announced a couple days ago, and it was also pre-announced, and there were rumors that it was going to be announced. Someone talked about this on Discord, which you should join. Join the Discord. It's excellent. There was the federal government in Canada has come through and said, we're going to help fund the airport station in Montreal. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I think that it should just be a loan to the airport authority that they have to pay back, because airport authorities in Canada tend to do well financially. But it's exciting because Montreal, being the second largest city in Canada, should have an air rail link. I think, honestly, I think Calgary and Edmonton should both have air rail links as well. I think they would both be easy to implement. So every city in Canada with rail besides Waterloo should have an air rail link right now. I think there's no real excuse for them not having air rail links. And apparently it's like a meme that I like air rail links, but I just think that why should people working at an airport not be able to use transit or not be able to use convenient transit? And I think that the traveling to a city market is really easy to capture with transit. People on vacation or business travelers, etc. We shouldn't even have to worry about them renting a car 90% of the time, right? If they're just going to the city center, which they probably are, we can have them do all their trips on transit. Why wouldn't we? So air rail links, they're cool. I think the REM is so awesome, but the REM station at the airport will be particularly cool because it will be the first underground airport station in Canada and the only underground airport station in Canada for the foreseeable future. It will have a single track tunnel, which is kind of interesting, kind of like the Canada Line does, except it will have dual platforms, unlike the Canada Line. And I kind of imagine in my mind the REM eventually getting extended, obviously, to Dorval. That makes a ton of sense. But then also just emerging from the tunnel as a double track line and then continuing to the center of Montreal via the rail corridor. Which would be really cool. You'd have a redundant air rail link, and it's kind of a natural corridor anyways, right? There's already commuter trains there. So yeah, I think that's a cool idea, and it's something I think about a lot. So let's talk about some more of these messages on the chat. What do you think about the LRT coming to Mississauga, Ontario? I don't think it's that good. Electric buses that RTC tried combusted way more than Teslas. Okay. Should Coaster electrify? Yes. If the question is should electrify, probably, in most cases. I don't know if it needs to be that high frequency like Caltrain, but it should electrify. Do you think Cascade should be electrified and add more stops? And should TriMet extend the West to Salem, Oregon? Yes, but West also needs to run more frequently. Same for Cascades. And remember, they're operating on freight lines. So again, I mean, I think it's generally the case that we need to figure out in North America what the policy is with freight companies and electrifying, right? I'm just thinking. So my hot take, and it may not be that hot of a take, is that the freight companies are going to struggle to electrify a lot of their services. The natural thing that the freight companies should do, and we should probably force them, is okay. You guys are going to struggle to electrify your services, so you have to let us electrify the parts that we use for passenger traffic, or at least for city passenger traffic. I think that's a really reasonable kind of compromise, because if maybe we let up a bit on the freight railways electrifying as quickly, but we electrify all of the passenger service, and that would make a pretty big dent, especially if we run more frequent passenger service in terms of emissions. Do you have a list of topics to cover? Today I don't, because I just didn't find that much this week. Every week I make a list, and today it was just one topic because I didn't have that much to speak of. I visited a terminal in the Toronto area yesterday safely. I was never within 2 meters of anyone, but I visited it and filmed some construction footage, so I'll post that video in the next little while. I think that should be interesting. Could you see low-capacity automated feeder lines like those in Singapore being implemented in the Americas? I think it would be a great idea in dense areas. Will REM be fair integrated with STM? Yes. Considering that 70% of the cost of transit in Canada is in salaries, is there a transit solution for low-density transit? That's a bit of a turn of phrase. Yeah, like buses, if you operate a good service, a lot of low densities can be served well with a pretty frequent bus service. For truly rural areas, I do think on-demand actually might make some sense. I think Metrolink should electrify and become an S-Bahn. Well, who would disagree with that? Going off the Eglinton line question, do you think they could give it signal preemption at some point, or even close some closely spaced stops? Yeah, surely they could. They could close some closely spaced stops and give it signal preemption. The question is, will they? Thoughts on HS3? I don't have thoughts on HS3. I'm not actually sure if HS3 is a thing, unless you're referring to like Northern Powerhouse Rail. I think hydrogen rail has its place in the future on long-distance rail corridors without overhead lines like the Nordland Railway in Norway and most lines in the US. Yeah, I think I agree. 380,000 Kia combustion models were recalled last month due to a potential short circuit and fire catching. Advice was to park outdoors away from structures. So yeah, not really exclusively an electric car issue. And also, what a strange take to have. Like, electric cars are bad because they catch on fire. For someone who cares about the environment, you'd think that you would want electric cars to succeed. And it's funny that there's always talk, and the thing that bothers me a lot is talk of like, electric cars are bad because we need to extract lithium. And it's like, how bad are regular cars? You have to extract all the fossil fuels. You also have to extract tons of metals and precious metals to make like catalytic converters. You still need batteries, etc. They pollute the air, which has massive costs that we often don't appreciate. And also, it's you're comparing like first and second gen electric cars to technology that has been developed for 100 years. Like, gas cars are about as good as they are going to get. Electric cars are not close, right? So I think it's worth pointing out. Yeah, what HS3 exactly? Scrolling up. Oh my goodness, lots of messages. I'm going to try to speed run. There's talk of building LRT in Halifax. I think BRT is enough for Halifax. Downtown Relief Line terminating at Dundas West. Nope. I've said it many times. I don't think going to Dundas West makes sense because you're just duplicating the RER corridor, reminding me that fuel cells will be phased out at the moment workable methane or ethanol cells are developed. I don't agree. I don't agree in the long term. Black box computers for Apple. Yeah, but like Windows computers have a whole world of problems too. Transit is always more affordable than driving. That's not true. It is usually, but it is not always more affordable. And these are the type of platitudes that I think don't serve transit advocates and people who are passionate about transit well. We don't have to be dishonest. Transit is better in a lot of cases, but it's not always better. It's some people will drive a car and that's okay. The goal should not be to force people out of cars. It should be to present them a better alternative to the point that very few people need to use a car on a regular basis. But that doesn't mean you should inconvenience people to serve an agenda, right? We should actually make the world a better place. It's probably not too difficult to refit the Siemens chargers to hydrogen power. I don't know. That might be a bit of a reach. I don't know if they're actually easily... I probably shouldn't speak on this issue. That business report had a preference of EMUs, and older reports seem to imply a mix of EMUs and NJ Transit-style service with electric locomotives. I think that's most likely. I have a pipe dream of a link line along the Duwamish River passing the Rainier Valley. If this were ever built, could the Rainier Valley line be separated and the rest of Link automated? Parts of Link are still crossing traffic, but probably by then, yeah. What do you think of Zoom? It's a good system. Yeah, high frequency, best system in the 905, without a doubt. The REM has an airport line. Yes. Extend the Capital Line to Edmonton Airport. Yeah, definitely. I like the Narita Express in Tokyo, even though it takes ages. Yeah, Narita is really far from the center of Tokyo, though. I wouldn't say the whole point of the REM was to add a link between the airport and downtown. It's kind of like a tertiary benefit, in my opinion. Wait, what will Caltrain's frequency be? I think it's every 10 minutes. Sydney's airport rail link is nice too, but the mezzanine floor gets crowded and problematic if you have lots of luggage. Yeah, it's a pretty nice air rail link, though there's not an air rail express service. Now, REM still serves a lot of other good purposes. Yes, I agree. 36 trains per hour. Not on Caltrain, definitely not. Replace the West Coast Express with a BART-like system or keep it as is. I don't think you need to, because if you run service more frequently, you don't need giant trains. It's a take I make every other day. I think the new HFR corridor should be electrified and run bimodal trains. If it's electrified, why would you need bimodal trains? I also wish for it to be planned for high speed. Yeah, I agree. What will happen to the MR90? Yeah, probably scrapped. Some will go to a museum. I'm from Moscow, and I liked your Moscow Central Diameters video, and would like to know if there's going to be another video about Russian railways and public transit, and when to expect them. Yeah, there'll be another video, but it might be a while. I think a lot of people request videos, and that's totally cool. I appreciate when people request videos, but you do have to remember that I make a video almost every other day. It's a lot of work, and there's reasons I do it. Me making YouTube videos is kind of contingent on me making a lot of YouTube videos. So when people suggest oh, you should just make less videos, I actually kind of can't make less videos for a lot of reasons. I have to make a lot of videos for YouTube to make sense for me, because I have to spend a lot of time. Basically, I have to spend a lot of time doing non-video stuff for YouTube. I have a Patreon I manage other stuff. I have to do a lot of research, etc. And so, there's a high overhead cost for my YouTube, whereas actually making videos is still expensive, still takes a lot of time, but, I can make a lot of videos with the amount of research I do, and so I just have to make a lot of videos, and so, I don't know what I'm even responding to at this point. Yeah, so I make a lot of videos. People in the past requested a lot of Melbourne videos, and in the past little while, I've done a lot of videos talking about Melbourne and Australia. And people have requested other videos about Australia. And as I said, there's one coming at the end of the week that I think some people will like. So I do keep it in mind when people request things. But when it's only 1 or 2 requests, it does become, it's less of a priority, right? If like a lot of people are requesting something, then I'm more likely to do it. Like, for example, Italian high-speed rail. It's been requested a lot of times. So I will definitely make it. If I wasn't thinking about it before, which I was, I would be thinking about it now. So it's, it's all about how much does it get requested. And it's not because I don't care, but unfortunately, because of the way YouTube works, I have to make the videos people want me to make to some extent, right? I do make videos I'm interested in too. And those are usually when I try to incorporate, like, for example, I haven't made a lot of videos about Sydney, but anytime double-deck trains comes up, I talk about Sydney because I think it's a great example of that. And that's how I try to incorporate other cities a lot of the time. A lot of talking. Whoa, a lot of... I see Paige has entered the chat. So I need to go up and I'll try to shoot through a bunch of these messages. What do you think of the TTC policy of needing an operator on all trains? When they're automated, I think it's silly. I think having 2 people on each train is silly. Macau crystal movers are shorter than Eureka Mome, yes, but they're the same technology, right? I don't think the length is actually that important. A video about Moscow's transport system in general would be nice. The Hong Kong video, like when people see it, I think you'll realize that this video template or this series can be applied to a lot of videos, and Moscow would be a video that I could certainly do in the future. Not going to be quick because Moscow is a really complicated system. What do you think of the new all-purpose electrical multiple units for DSB, the Cordia streams? They're beautiful. What do you think? Low density with government subsidy. I wish I were joking. 36 trains per hour would be amazing. It would be. What will it take for Amtrak to make a stop in Madison, Wisconsin? I'm not sure. I'm not from Madison, Wisconsin. I've never been to Wisconsin. One of the few states I've never been to. You got to advocate, right? Start up a transit advocacy group. Call your representatives. Even with the metals and batteries and stuff, we now have companies which are able to recycle batteries. Yes, exactly. And a lot of them can be reused. They don't even need to be recycled. Have I watched Big Mood Energy's series on the history of different transit modes in the US? Yes, I have. Maybe I'll collab with them in the future. That'd be great. I think that'll be critical going forward. Whoa, different angle. Yes, I have relocated. Do you think battery bimode trains have potential for metro services? Probably not. I don't think that's the most appropriate use. Ontario line extension to Don Mills to connect to the Shepherd line? Yeah, of course. Why not? I'm yet to be convinced that this is the same Reece. Oh, yeah. Okay, because of the angle. I see. Batteries in general are pretty recyclable. Yes, that sounds like a better version of the Don Mills LRT proposal. It sounds like a sensible version of the Don Mills LRT proposal, which it's not even a version. It's just totally different, right? It's a metro. Should cities like Toronto, Winnipeg, and Vancouver have autonomous rail transit, the bus that follows the line? No, it's really stupid in my opinion. Oh, I don't usually use harsh language like that, but yeah, it's stupid. Yeah, guys, I mean, there's no better way to spend an hour than listening to Reece talking to his friends for an hour. You guys should watch the video Paige and I made, and we have another one coming, and he did a great one with Yute Lee talking to him. He has got COVID. San Diego Trolley should tunnel the downtown segment and convert to a Stadtbahn. Yeah, probably. Yeah, there are a lot of actual... I was watching a video about battery recycling recently, and again, these technologies are relevant to all modes of mobility. Battery trains are a thing too, and surely, battery anything. We have to, something I think about, and I think maybe this is something not many people think about, is look at our rail maintenance equipment. It's all just trucks and diesel stuff, and look, when you maintain a subway, it's usually diesel-powered vehicles. All of this stuff we need to electrify, right? And the whole point is we're not going to be doing it with third rail, so we do need battery technology for that. Does Thunder Bay have a train station? I would assume so. Reece, what do you see in the future of the Montreal Yellow Line? Hopefully it gets... I've always thought that extending it north and making it kind of like the Pink Line makes sense. And you could extend it south as well, but do it elevated. That would be my suggestion. What's your favorite train in a movie? What a great question. I watched Train to Busan recently, or Busan, and that was pretty good. It's a pretty legit movie, so that would the top contender at the moment. I guess I liked in Skyfall. I liked the tube train that like blasts through the wall at one point. I like the tube train in V for Vendetta. So I guess tube trains is a bit of a thing here. Yeah. There's that movie with the freight train that's run away. That's kind of not a great movie, but it was entertaining. There was the one with Liam Neeson I remember seeing. Also not a great movie, but that was also entertaining. There's a lot of movies like that. But yeah, I think it's probably tube trains. Yeah. Do you think that US and Canadian National Rail should operate with the same frequency and stop distance as British National Rail? No. Do you think Jane Street LRT could be revived someday? I hope not. BART should not take over Caltrain. It should. But BART does have to improve a lot. Favorite non-Singapore Southeast Asian transit system? Ooh, good question. I guess the Kuala Lumpur system. How well do you speak French? Not well. Unfortunately, the Bay Area is too fragmented, but I'd rather leave Caltrain alone because it's heavy rail. I don't know why. I don't know why they don't combine them. I think they should. I agree, BRT, although a quick fix is actually something more expensive to run in the long term. Yes, but if you're running it well, then you probably don't need it for that long. You can upgrade to a light metro in 10 years. I forgot if I asked this already, but do you think Go will remove the CSA in the future? You did ask this already. Yes, I'm sure they will. Editing the animation is kind of half my voice, if that makes sense. The podcast that Reece and I do, Canadian Civil, is pretty much my version of live. Yeah, it's really well edited. I recommend it. I haven't seen the general. Can't believe it took another creator to ask the question that makes him light up with joy. The train in BBTF3. Also, what is a Snowpiercer, right? Like, surely that would be an option for someone to bring up. But what is BBTF3? Atomic Train? I actually have that on DVD. I don't know. What's that action movie? I think John Wick that has a cool action scene filmed in Canary Wharf. As far as I know, the movie that was filmed in Canary Wharf is actually one of the Star Wars movies. Yeah, Rogue One, exactly. The GoldenEye train is great. Caltrain should merge with ACE and make a regional rail system. Yeah, it's a good idea. In your opinion, what's the most ridiculous or funniest transit line that isn't a gadget bond? The Boston Green Line, maybe? Getting to Stockton is a pain. That scene where it's like, yeah, it is great. Back to the Future 3. Oh, okay. Sorry, I messed up. Pelham 123. That's another movie I was thinking about. The post-apocalyptic Willy Wonka Express. Oh my goodness. I have reached the bottom of the chat. That was an effort. I think that means it may be my time to go. If anyone has any final questions, please send them along, and then I have to go record a video because trying to produce a lot of videos these few weeks, and it is a lot of work, but hopefully people appreciate it. So yeah, if you have any more questions, folks, please do shoot them into the chat. Yeah, appreciate answering them. You know, ask me anything type of thing. Yeah, Boston is so weird. The system is really overappreciated. It's so dated. I think the Back to the Future train would be considered a maglev. Is it possible to have weekend service on the Richmond Hill line? Yes. Short stream F. It's not that short. It's like 45 minutes of me talking. It's very tiring. Insider information for what that video is. I'm not sure which video you're referring to at the moment. Why is the Finch West LRT considered a viable option? Because spending money on a area of the city that didn't have a transit line is kind of the the basic thing that can be justified. What is your vision for the future of Halifax Transit? I think more ferries and the BRT system they've proposed, but Viva level. What do you think about an explained video about the smaller countries in Europe and their high-speed rail stuff all together in one video? I think I prefer to make several shorter videos, to be honest. Yeah. The Bogota Metro, I want to make a demystified about. I said I was going to a long time ago. I've long planned to do it. I think it will be a very interesting video. So it's something I'm thinking about. Yeah. Hello. What do you think is the most beautiful tram model? Oh, that is an easy question. The new XO5 on the T9 line in Paris. It's beautiful. It's so cool. I love the light bar across the top with the different colors to show whether doors are open or closed. Should medium-sized US cities get a tram system or a BRT system? If they're growing, BRT. If they're not, probably trams. Or light metro. I had to put that in there. It's very strange sitting at the bottom of the chat. Is it realistic the Eglinton Crosstown will actually be done in 2022? I hope so. It's been a long time coming, right? You would really have to hope it's done by then. Do you guys miss the CLRVs? I personally don't, besides the openable windows, which you're not supposed to stick your arm out of, but kind of sit in like this with your arm out the window on a late summer night. It's really nice. What is Metrolinx or yourself recommending to replace the Up Express? I'm pushing for an Ontario line system. I don't think the Up Express really needs to be replaced. I think it does pretty well as it is, but Metrolinx is pushing to electrify it and roll it in as part of Go RER. What do you think? Why do you think rail was never built from Hamilton to Waterloo? That would be a question for a historian. I'm not sure. Usually it was for industrial purposes back then. What would you propose for an Ontario line extension west, south of the Gardiner or north? Well, definitely north, because there's not much south of the Gardiner, right? At least until you get really far west. I think you go somewhere around High Park and then you go up Jane. That's, I think, the most realistic western direction. The windows. Yeah. Someone recently told me they think the Copenhagen metro trains are ugly. I think they're the cutest. Yeah, I agree. They're cute. I like how the choice of what Metrolinx recommend or what Reece what Metrolinx recommends or what Reece recommends. Yeah, I think the idea of rolling it in makes sense. What do you think? I think I'm getting notifications. Sorry about that. What do you think is the best value system that has been created to date in the West? Ooh, Copenhagen Metro is up there. So are some of probably the Canada Line is up there too. Do I drink coffee? Paige asks. I do not. I can't stand coffee, honestly. It's too bitter. I don't like it. Yeah. Even with lots of sugar and stuff, I just don't like it. What do you think of the work of Jarrett Walker? It's good. Yeah, Jarrett is quite well known in the transit space, right? That being said, as with anyone, I'm not a fan of when people treat another person's word as gospel. Like, yes, Jarrett is a really smart guy, and he says a lot of smart things. But does that mean everything Jarrett says is universally true? No, and the same is true for me. When I say that, I don't know, that light rail sucks or something, which I don't think I've actually ever said. Obviously, I'm probably referring to the stuff I'm thinking about, right? The Canadian systems or the American systems, and that shouldn't be seen as me talking about every light rail system, because, yeah, Calgary's good, but, like, generalization. How much is BRT versus tram system in NEC? I'm not sure what that means. Thoughts on Dubai, either the highway cutting through the modern city or the automated subway. A lot of it is elevated, so calling it a subway is not necessarily that accurate. But the system is cool. I'm not sure how I feel about having two classes on rapid transit. But yeah, it's a cool system. It's nice, fully automated, platform screen doors at every station. The tram actually also has platform screen doors at every station. Wouldn't that duplicate Waterfront West, though? I don't really think so. Maybe for a short while. I guess you could go through, like, Parkdale and kind of go between Waterfront West and the rail corridor. Should ION have gone BRT to light metro? The difference with ION is there was an existing rail corridor that allowed them to do a lot of it. So where do you get your caffeine? I just don't get much caffeine. Um, 5 videos a week and no coffee. I am a robot. Yeah, I might be a robot, or I'm just slowly wearing away until I cease to exist anymore. Um, okay. Anyways, underground or elevated? What's faster and easier method? Elevated. I think clearly. Does transit ordinary development have any effects on home or rent prices? Well, definitely, right? If you don't have good policy around it. Thoughts on Istanbul? I've actually been looking at Istanbul, but not for a video. So you may have to guess why. New York City has the most potential for improving its commuter rail because it has the most of it, and North American commuter rail isn't very good. Will there be captions in your future videos? I caption a lot of my videos, but it's just not feasible for me to have captions in every video. I think maybe in the future when I do ramp down my production, which will happen eventually. I'm not sure when it will happen, but it will happen eventually. Then I might start captioning more. But if I'm not writing a script, so that's generally how you know if I wrote a script. If I wrote a script, there's usually captions. If the video was unscripted and I just did it off the cuff, then there will not be captions. It just takes a long time to transcribe videos, and I know you can pay to have them transcribed, but I don't think the cost benefit isn't really there for me. There is automatic transcription on YouTube, which isn't great, but it works. What's your opinion regarding money spent on public art and transit projects? Oh, controversial. I don't know. I think that if you have a great transit system, you can probably spend more money on it. But if you don't, then you probably shouldn't be wasting money on art. Yeah. Yeah, it is very boring work transcribing, and honestly, it doesn't get used all that much. So I just don't think it's necessarily worth it. But yeah, it seems like we have gotten through pretty much every question. I'll give it a few more minutes. I think until 4 o'clock Toronto time, and then I'm going to close out the stream so folks can get any messages in that they want to. I should mention the next stream is going to be on a Saturday, so my Australian friends can watch the video. So yeah, the link to it is in the description of this stream, so you can click into it and go remind yourself that that's going to be happening. I always enjoy live streaming. Definitely try to think about questions you have, and think like these are essentially AMAs as well. Some people have asked random questions, and I always enjoy that. I think it's kind of fun. But also, like, if you have interesting transit stuff to talk about, that's great as well. So yeah. Also, as I said before, join the Discord. It's a great place to chat with people. We have a bunch of people from the Discord in the chat right now, which is cool. Follow me on Twitter. Please, I want more Twitter followers. And yeah, we'll be streaming again in 2 weeks, and I have lots of videos coming out this week, so I hope folks enjoy those. Community input versus efficient construction or development. Is there a balance to be struck? Yeah, that's a great question. I don't think I have the answer, but that is a absolutely very great thing to talk about. Like, it's such an important thing. Reece, how will the passengers go to the sidewalk when the Finch West LRT overground will be done? You'll walk to a crosswalk and you'll cross the road. Did I ever tell you that my subs get used all the time? No, but that is very interesting. Someone's excited about the upcoming gondola video. Good to hear. Do you think Amtrak will ever electrify outside of the Northeast Corridor? I think we should hope they do. Should we convert car parking to bicycle parking? Yes. Thoughts on transit authorities being property developers like the MTR? Is it a viable source of income in North American cities? Definitely. Is it the only source of income they'll ever need? Probably not, because Hong Kong is a unique case. Again, Hong Kong video coming next week. Wondering if instead of Ontario Line, as proposed, ending at Exhibition, maybe continue west with half occupying 2 tracks on the western corridor to Airport and Bramalea, other half to Mississauga. I mean, that's going to cost a lot of money, right? So it's not feasible as part of the initial phase. But then also, again, it's just such a long corridor. I don't know that it makes sense to take the Ontario line there when we spent so much money on making it work for GO trains, right? It's possible, but I don't know if it's the best plan. Auckland City Rail Link is getting primary school kids to do the artwork for... I'm not going to pronounce the station because people will complain that I didn't pronounce it right. But that is awesome, and actually, I think that is a really good approach. I remember going to a community center as a kid where the art for the station was everyone drew art on a tile, and then they used the density of the drawings. So people who drew more, right, more density, it's like a white tile with black ink on it. The denser ones were used to create shaded areas, and they drew a giant picture out of all the little pictures, and I thought that was cool. Meanwhile, Copenhagen is like, haha, me Hong Kong, me charge residents even after they've moved in to pay for the corridor. Interesting. Oh, thank you, Nouvelle Cos. That's much appreciated. Would you like OL West extension on Dufferin or Jane? Probably Jane. Amtrak is also electrified on the Keystone Corridor. Yeah, but it's connected to the Northeast Corridor, so that's pretty cool. Have we ever had 2 super chats in one stream? Once before. That is our record, though. But yeah, that was quite cool. Yes, it's going on the tiles, but I don't think they will do a giant picture like what you described. That's too bad. I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah. The chat has gone silent. But yeah. Trying to think if there's anything I should say. I hope folks enjoy the videos this week. It's going to be a lot of work. I'm going to get very little sleep, but it will be worth it. Yeah. I guess this is the end. It was nice knowing everyone, and stream is done for today. I'll see everyone in 2 weeks on Saturday. Tell us a joke. Oh my goodness. The Mississauga LRT. Oh no. Oh, that's probably controversial. No, I don't have any good jokes, to be honest. One question. I'll let this one more question come in. Keep the funding going for transit law. Oh, Viva is another good one. Someone's going to ask a question, I think. They said one question, Dr. DeWatt. Pausing, waiting. Is a question coming through? Just the chat is just streaming by here. Do you think rural branch lines to serve smaller communities and then connect them to a major corridor like a GO line is good going forward? Yeah, I definitely think so. With smaller trains that are shorter and carry less passengers, but then can operate as feeders onto GO lines, I think that's a great idea. I think, or even just having GO trains go onto other lines, because the lines are probably built to North American standards and they can handle the largish trains. When I say largest, I just mean GO train but shorter. Someone's saying wait, so I'll wait a minute, but then I'm gonna shut the stream down. Will that block yard access to the rail bridge over Bayview? I'm not sure what this oh, great! Everyone has a request now. I'll let your request go through, Paige. What is your request? I'm not sure what you're referring to. Will block the rail bridge over Bayview toward the CP tracks. I'm not sure what that's referring to. The Richmond Hill Line Bridge. Oh, that yard. Can you have yourself a wonderful evening? That is much appreciated, and I plan to have a wonderful evening of video editing and script writing, but I will watch some TV as well. There's not much else we can do these days, is there? Will it block the bridge? I don't think it needs to block the bridge. Anyways, thanks everyone for coming to the stream today. It was a pleasure chatting with everyone. If you have topics you want me to cover in future streams, please save them and then bring them for the next stream on Saturday, May 1st at 7 p.m. The link is in the video description. Thanks. Follow me on social media. Goodbye, folks.